بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين. اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over the tremendous book by the Fadilatul Shaykh Al-Allama Al-Imam bin Baz Rahmatullah alayh. The book which is entitled Durus Al-Muhimma Li'amat Al-Ummah, Important Lessons for Every Muslim. We're still on the first lesson, Ad-Dars Al-Awwal, which is dealing with going over, memorizing, learning how it should be recited, reciting it correctly, memorizing and studying the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, and then of those surah, those chapters from Zilzala until Nas. We have reached Surah At-Takathur. Surah At-Takathur. The piling up. The piling up. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says in His noble book, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says what translated means, the mutual rivalry for the piling up of worldly things diverts you until you visit the graves, meaning until you die. Nay, you shall come to know. Again, nay, you shall come to know. Nay, if you know with a sure knowledge the end result of the piling up, you will not have been occupied, or you will not have occupied yourselves in this worldly life with these worldly things, or you will not have been occupied with these worldly things. Verily, you shall see the blazing fire, and again, you shall see it with certainty of sight. And then on that day, you shall be asked about the things of delight, about those things in which you used to indulge in and find joy in. Allah Azza wa Jal, in the first ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ. The mutual rivalry for the piling up, the mutual rivalry for the piling up of worldly things, it diverts you. It diverts you. Now, Shaykh Abdul Razak, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, he says, meaning, ashghalakum, meaning it preoccupies you, it busies you. The piling up of the mutual wealth, it preoccupies you and it busies you. وَجَعَلَكُمْ تَمْضُونَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةِ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مُسْتَمِرَّةٍ. And this mutual rivalry, striving to pile up these worldly things, then it plunges you inside of a perpetual state of forgetfulness, inside of this dunya, or it plunges you into a perpetual state of unawareness, unmindfulness inside of this world. What takathur, and what is intended by at-takathur, ay talab ma yatakathur an-nas bihi, meaning that it is the seeking after those things in which human beings they compile. And these are various things that human beings they seek to compile, they seek to gather in great abundance, min malin, from wealth, from the various types of wealth that they strive to acquire, wa tijaratin, and from business and businesses, wa masakin, and from housings and dwelling places, wal marukubat, and from the different riding things, different vehicles, whether they be cars, planes, trains, so on and so forth, boats, these things that people they ride upon, wal walad, and from the compiling of offspring, of children, and so on and so forth, from these things in which people they vie over and they compete in. وغير ذلك مما يقصد منه مكاثرة كل واحد لآخر. And other than that, from those things in which people they compete in, they vie in, so that one he vies to accumulate more than another. وأشغلكم هذا التكاثر عما خلقتم لأجله. And this striving and chasing after the wealth and the compiling of the wealth and gathering of the wealth, or the gathering of these things in which people they gather, this gathering and mutual piling up, it diverts you and it keeps you busy from that which you have been created for it, for the purpose for which you have been created. وَأُوجِدْتُمْ لِتَحْقِيقِ, and from that which you have been brought into existence so as to establish it. وَهُوَ عِبَادَةُ اللَّهِ, and that is the worship of Allah. That is the worship of Allah. وَهَذَا حَالٌ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ, and this is the condition of many of the people. Many of the people, they are diverted by wealth, diverted by business, trade, and industry, diverted by gathering and amassing cars and houses and dwellings and so on and so forth. It diverts them. It diverts them, وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And this is something that we have to pay attention to and strive to not be amongst these individuals who have been diverted by the amassing of wealth, such that it busies them from the establishment of the ibadah, the establishment of the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. انشغلوا بما خلق لأجلهم عما خلقوا هم لأجله. They have thus been diverted and have become preoccupied by those things which have been created for them to utilize. Now, they have been preoccupied by those things that have been created for the human beings to utilize, the likes of dwelling places, cars, fine clothes, fine dining, so on and so forth. These things have been created for humans to use, to utilize them. Now, they're at their disposal to utilize them. They had not been created for us to become distracted by them, no, but for us to utilize them so that we may establish that which we have been created for. So the Shaykh, he mentions, he says they have become preoccupied by those things which have been created for them to utilize, which preoccupy them from that which they have been created for the purpose from which they have been created. وَهُوَ عِبَادَةُ اللَّهِ, and that is the worship of Allah, to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal, he says, أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ, you have become diverted. The mutual rivalry of the gathering of things have diverted you. أي استمرت حالكم في هذا الانشغال وهذا اللهو حتى متم. وَأُدْخِلْتُمْ الْقُبُورِ, that you have been diverted and you have been distracted by the mutual gathering up of the likes of these things in which people they vie and compete over. And this state is perpetual and continuous, that you have been preoccupied by these things and preoccupied by play and amusement until you die. حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ, until you die. Until you die, you enter into the graves, meaning until you die and your bodies are placed inside of the graves. وَهِيَ حَالٌ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ, and this is the state of many of the people. They become preoccupied with the amassing and gathering of the wealth until death comes to them. They spend their life in this pursuit until they die. فَتَجِدُ الْوَاحِدْ مِنْهُمْ فِي لَهَثٍ وَرَاءَ هَذَا التَّكَاثُرِ, you'll find one of them, they will be striving after the pursuit of this money, to pursuit and amass the wealth and to amass those things in which people they vie over, whether that be from wealth, whether that be from children, whether that be from business and trade and industry and so on and so forth, from these things that distract the people. They will become in a perpetual state of the pursuit of the likes of these things until they die. حَتَّى يَمُوتُ, until they die. Until they die, وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. وَمِنْ ثَمَّ يُضْرَجُ فِي قَبْرِهِ, and then from that they will be entered into their graves, placed inside of their graves. وَسُمِّيَ هَذَا الدُّخُولِ لِلْقُبُورِ زِيَارَةً, and this entering into the grave, it has been called الزِّيَارَةً. Na'am, that it is what? It is a visit. It is a visit. Na'am. So you find Allah Ta'ala here in this ayah, He says, حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ, until they visit the graves. Na'am, because our visiting of the graves is a visit. Yani, our being placed inside of our graves, it is a visit. Na'am, it's a visit. And this is because what? We're not going to stay within our graves forever. We are just visitors. Na'am, wallahi, مَزَائِرٌ بِمُقِيمٍ, because by Allah, the one who visits something, he is not one who will stay there forever. The visitor of a thing is not a resident. Na'am, so you say a person that visits a country, they're visiting, vacation, the like, they're not a resident of that country. They visit there for a time period, then they leave. Na'am, and such is the state of our graves. We will not stay there forever. So Allah Ta'ala, He informs us of this fact here in this ayah. Well, Allah Ta'ala, He says, حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ, until you visit the graves, meaning until you die in a place inside of your graves. لِأَنَّ الْقَبْرَ بَرُزَخٌ بَيْنَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ, because the grave, then it is that state, it is that abode that is between the life of this world and between the hereafter. It is that abode that is between the life of this world and between the life of the hereafter. It is a temporary station. It is not a station that is intended for us to stay therein, but it is a temporary station, a temporary abode. Na'am. And the grave, the Shaykh he mentions, he says, وَمَعْبَرٌ إِلَى الدَّارِ الْبَاقِيَةِ, and it is the gateway to the abode that shall remain. It is a gateway to the abode that shall remain forever. أَمَّا فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَأَمَّا فِي النَّارِ, either forever inside of the Jannah or forever inside of the fire. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us of the people of Jannah and that He saves us from the fire. Allahumma ameen. So the grave is a gateway to the eternal life. To the eternal life. وَيُدْخِلُهُ مَيِّتُ دُخُولَ الزَّائِرِ, and the dead person will enter to his grave the entering of a visitor, because he won't stay there forever, but he's just visiting. لأنه لا يستمر فيه, because he will not stay in the barzakh forever. He will not stay in his grave forever. وإنما هي زيارة ينتقل منه إلى دار الآخرة, but rather the grave is only a temporary place, so therefore he is only a visitor, and he shall proceed from there to the abode of the hereafter. He shall proceed from his grave to the hereafter. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He explains to us the reality what most people fall into, and that is that they amass wealth and they become distracted by the amassing of wealth and the amassing of those things in which people they vie and they compete in. And this becomes the estate until they enter into the grave, until they die. Until they die. Wa'iyadu billah. Living their lives in a state of unmindfulness. Unmindfulness. The whole of their life just busy. Allahu musta'an. But this reality, when we reflect upon it, is an encouragement from another direction for us to strive to make hijrah to the lands of the Muslims. Because in the lands of the kuffar, the society is designed, and it's by design, because it's a satanic design. It's designed to keep an individual preoccupied with the hustle and bustle of the amassing of wealth. The hustle and bustle of the amassing of wealth and chasing after the dunya. And then after that, for play and entertainment. And you see, this is how the people, they run in this rat race, right? Where they go to work and they work hard, they may do overtime, so on and so forth, just to come home and what? Sit in front of the TV, watch this, watch that, play an amusement, go to sleep, wake up, do it again, repeat. And they do this. Until what? Until they die. This is their life. This is how society is set up. Whereas in the lands of the Muslims, the society is set up around the salat. It's set up around the salat. So the work day, it has a pause in it. Not for lunch, just so a person can satiate his stomach and so on and so forth, right? But to pray dhuhr, the adhan goes off, work stops. Everyone goes and pray dhuhr, they come back, they continue. Now, usually by Asr time, you're home by that time. You're home by Asr. Now, and so on and so forth. But the whole of the day is arranged around the salawat. It is not like here in this country where we have to strive to fit the salat in our work schedule. It's not, no. There is what is around the salat. So when the adhan goes off, you go pray. Either to a masjid that is adjacent to your place of work, or to the musalla that is there in your place of work. To the musalla that is there in your place of work. Now, likewise in school, you'll find inside of the schools there is a musalla or there is a masjid that's somewhere on campus for the bigger schools and so on and so forth. So, and even with that, there may be a masjid there on campus, and you may find even in some other buildings, they have musalla inside of those buildings, so that the people in those buildings, they have the option to pray in the musalla. In the event that the masjid is all the way across campus or all the way across the facility, which will make it difficult for them to get back and forth, so they make it convenient for the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. Very convenient. Now, this is another encouragement, because Allah Azza wa Jal, He tells us here in this next ayah the reality of the situation about those who get caught up in the amassing of wealth, chasing after children, women, business, or women chasing after men, whatever the case may be, right? Business, boats, cars, planes, trains, automobiles, and these things that people strive to amass, and they get caught up in that, and that preoccupies them and distracts them until they die. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Kalla, that no, nay, it shouldn't be like this. This is a deterrent. And هذه الحال, from this state of being caught up and preoccupied by the amassing of things, وهذه الصفة, and from this description, Allah Ta'ala, He says, nay, you're not supposed to be like this. You're not supposed to act like this. You're not supposed to be distracted by those things which were created for you to utilize from the purpose from which you were created. Those things shouldn't distract you, right? Allah Ta'ala, He says, Kalla, nay, sawfa ta'lamun. Nay, you shall come to know though. if you have been distracted by the likes of these things, well, you will come to know the end result of that. You will come to know how that is the epitome of that which is detrimental unto you and to your well-being. You will come to know the error of your ways. Allah Ta'ala says, كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ لَيْسَ الْأَمْرُ كَمَا the Shaykh, he mentions, لَيْسَ الْأَمْرُ كَمَا أَنْتُمْ مُنْشَغِلِينَ بِهِ مِنْ تَكَاثُرٍ وَغَفْلَةٍ. That no, the affair is not as such as which you have become preoccupied and busy with from the amassing of those things in which people amass, from money, from wealth, from apartments, from houses, from real estate, from business, so on and so forth, nor being in a state of unmindfulness. When you're unmindful, you give no thought, nor attention, nor any credence to what? To contemplating over that which is really important. سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ, you're going to come to know. إِذَا أُدْخِلْتُمُ الْقُبُورِ, meaning when you enter into your graves. When you enter into your graves, if you didn't know before then, you're going to know then. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us of those who know from now. Those who know from now and those who prepare to meet Allah Azza wa Jalla. You don't want to be from those who become distracted, become caught up in the whirlwind of chasing after the life of this world until the angel snatches you. That's when you wake up, when the angel is snatching your soul. Now you remember, now it's too late. When you're being entered into your grave, now you remember, now it's too late. So these individuals, Allah Ta'ala says, Kalla, nay, you shouldn't be like this, in a state of forgetfulness, being preoccupied and busy and diverted by the life of this world. Sawfa ta'lamun, you will come to know. Meaning when you enter into your graves, you know. You will know. When death comes to you, if you ain't know before then, you're going to know then. وَرَأَيْتُكُمْ, and once you have seen what? عَاقِبَةَ الْعَمَلِ, and once you have seen the end result of actions, the end result of actions, حَسْنِهِ وَسَيِّئِهِ, the end result of the actions, the good of them and the bad of them. When you see the end result of the actions, then at that point you will know. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ, and then again, nay, you shall come to know. As Shaykh Abdul Razak, he mentions, he says here, تَأْكِيدٌ لِهَذَا الْأَمْرِ, this is an emphasis upon this affair. وَبَيَانٌ لِعِظَمِ هَذَا الشَّأْنِ, and this is an explanation so as to show you the greatness and the importance and the magnitude of this affair. كَلَّا لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عِلْمَ الْيَقِينِ, and verily, if you knew with certain knowledge, and verily if you were to know, if you knew with certain knowledge, meaning if you knew with certain knowledge the end result of the piling up, you will not have been preoccupied by the life of this world. If you knew what was really at stake and the end result of being distracted and allowing yourself to become distracted or plunging yourself into distractions, then you will not have behaved in such a manner. كَلَّا لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عِلْمَ الْيَقِينِ, nay, if you were to know with certain knowledge, لَوْ كَانَ عِنْدَ الْإِنسَانِ عِلْمُ الْيَقِينِ بِهَذَا مَآلٍ وهذا مصير لما ألهاه التكاثر ولما أشغله عما خلق لأجله أو وأوجد لتحقيقه من طاعة الله. That if the human being they were to know with a certain knowledge where they are heading to, and that and their destination, meaning the next life, and where they are heading to, they will not have become distracted by the gathering up and the amassing of these things that people vie for, from wealth, real estate, business, industry, so on and so forth. Nor would they have allowed it, or nor would they have become preoccupied by those things which were created for them to utilize. Nor would they have been distracted from the purpose from which they were created for, and the reason for which they were brought into existence, so as to establish it from the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal. They would not have allowed such to take place if they had known with a certainty لَتَرَوُنَّ الْجَحِيمِ, that verily, most definitely, you will see the blazing fire. Naam, that verily you will see the blazing fire. If the human being, if the person were to contemplate upon this reality, that no matter what you are going through right now, no matter how real and how detrimental it may seem to whatever the case may be, the reality of it is that you will see the fire. Okay? لَتَرِدُنَّ الْقِيَامَةِ وَلَتَرَوُنَّ الْجَحِيمَ الَّتِي أَعَدَّهَا اللَّهُ لِلْكَافِرِينَ, that you will be resurrected. You will be resurrected. Naam? Because remember, you're not going to stay in your grave forever. You're just a visitor in your grave, but you're going to leave. Okay? You will be resurrected, and you will see that hellfire which Allah has prepared for the disbelievers. You will see that Jahim. You will see that blazing fire. وَالْجَحِيمِ هِيَ النَّارِ. Al-Jahim, it is the fire. It is the fire. يُؤْتَى بِهَا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ الْمَحْشَرِ. It will be brought, the fire will be brought on the day of judgment to the place where the people will be gathered. They will be brought on the day of judgment to the place where the people will be gathered. كَمَا فِي الْحَدِيثِ, as it comes inside of the hadith, يُؤْتَى بِجَهَنَّمَ يَوْمَئِذٍ لَهَا 70,000 زِمَامٍ مَعَ كُلِّ زِمَامٍ 70,000 مَلَكٍ يَجُرُّونَهَا. It comes inside of the hadith that on the day of judgment, the hellfire will be brought. It will be brought forth on that day. And it has 70,000 chains. 70,000 chains. Now, the hellfire is not a small place, it's a very big place. Now, the hellfire that it enjoys punishing those who are disobedient unto Allah Azza wa Jal. Halim talati. It will be said to the hellfire, are you full? And what will be the hellfire's response? Hal min mazid? Is there more? Is there more? The hellfire enjoys to punish those disobedient unto Allah Azza wa Jal. Is there more? So there's plenty room, enough space. 70,000 chains. 70,000 chains. And these are not little chains. Now, there's not little chains. 70,000 chains. مَعَ كُلِّ زِمَامٍ 70,000 مَلَكٍ. That's 70,000 chains, and on each chain there are 70,000 angels. 70,000 chains. And then upon each chain there are 70,000 angels that will be dragging it. That will be dragging it, which gives us an indication of the scope and the size and the enormity of what? Of the hellfire. This is what we will see, right? As it's being dragged on the day of judgment. Huh? By Allah, none of us want to be from those kuffar. Because those kuffar, when they see the hellfire being brought and dragged, 70,000 chains, on every chain 70,000 angels, the kuffar will know that that is their place of abode. That's for them. They will know it. This is for them. They didn't know before. كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. You're going to know. Now, they're going to know this is for them. There is no way out. There's no escape. And the time for doing action has ceased. Has come to an end. There's no going back. There's no going back. Now, it's over. This is the end result of being distracted, the end result of living one's life upon kufr, living one's life upon disobedience, living one's life upon transgression, living one's life worshipping others than the creator of the heavens and the earth, living one's life not fulfilling the purpose for which they were created, which is to worship Allah and to worship Allah alone, to be obedient and establish the obedience unto Allah Azza wa Jal, to establish the obedience unto Allah Azza wa Jal. This hadith is akhrajahu al-Muslim min hadith Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. This hadith has been collected by Imam Muslim and is from the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Na'am. The Shaykh, he says, فَيُعَايِنُوهَا So the people, they're gonna what? They're gonna see it. يُعَايِنُوهَا النَّاسِ وَيُشَاهِدُونَهَا The people are going to see it, they're going to witness it, but they're going to see the hellfire with what? With their eyes. With their eyes. Their eyes in their head. They're going to see the hellfire. Now, they're going to see it. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, ثُمَّ لَتَرَوُنَّهَا عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ In case an individual, he or she has some kind of doubt, has some kind of ambiguity or some kind of shak inside of their minds, or whatever the case may be, Allah Ta'ala, He removes that with a complete removal. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, ثُمَّ لَتَرَوُنَّهَا عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ That, and then most definitely you're going to see it with what? With an eye of certainty. With an eye of certainty. There's no confusion about this affair. يُعَايِنُوهَا أو يعاينونها حقيقة بأبصاركم That you're going to see it with your eyes. You're going to see it in reality with your eyes. نعم. وذلك يوم القيامة And that will be on the day of judgment. On the day of judgment. يَوْمَ يَقِفُ النَّاسُ بَيْنَ يَدِ اللَّهِ The day that people will stand in front of Allah. The day that people will stand in front of the Creator of the heavens and the earth. The day where they will be judged for what they used to do. Now, we know we're going to be judged for what we do in this life. We know we're going to be judged due to the good deeds we have put forward. We know we're going to be judged and held accountable due to the bad deeds that were put forward. But you have to know and you have to understand one thing, is that on the day of judgment, we shall be questioned about not just what we had did from good deeds or what we had did from bad deeds. But Allah Azza wa Jalla says, ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ And then on that day they shall be asked about النَّعِيمِ They will be asked about النَّعِيمِ النَّعِيمِ What is na'im? The Shaykh, he says, يَسْأَلُكُمْ Allah tabarak wa ta'ala Meaning that Allah will ask you all. Allah, the Most High and Blessed is He. He will ask each and every one of you, meaning each and every one of us, everyone. On that day, Yawm al-Qiyam, on the day of judgment, Allah will ask us about an-na'im, about the na'im. About the na'im. الَّذِي أَتَاكُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا That na'im that came to you in the dunya. يَدْخُلُ فِي ذَلِكَ What enters into na'im? Now, what is meant by na'im? Because you find a tafsir from the Salaf mentioning various things that is meant by na'im. And all of it enters into the meaning of na'im. All of the various tafsir that have been mentioned enters into the meaning of na'im. Now, what enters into that is what? Is ni'matul mal, the blessing of money. That's the blessing of money, the blessing of wealth. That enters into na'im, what we're going to be questioned about. Those things that we found pleasure in. Everything we find pleasure in, we're going to be asked about it. Everything that is delightful, we're going to be asked about it. Now, and what enters into that is wealth, money. Wa ni'matul sihha. Na'am. Wa ni'matul sihha. I want you to understand this. And we also will be asked about the blessing of good health. of good health. Naam, the young people and the young, usually have what? An abundance of good health. Know that you are going to be asked about your good health. What you did with it. Did you utilize your good health to worship Allah? Or did you utilize your good health to be disobedient unto Allah? Did you utilize your good health to be good and kind to others and good to your parents? Or did you utilize your good health to be oppressive to others, transgress against their bounds and disrespectful to your parents? What do you use your health for? And everything that is connected to health. Now, from your eyes, from your ears, from your hearing, your seeing, your faculties of understanding, so on and so forth, all of these things from good health, you're going to be asked about it. What did you do with it? What did you do with it? Allah Ta'ala bless you with money, bless you with wealth. Now, I'm fine cars, and you're going to be asked about, what did you do with that nice car you have? What did you do with it? Did you utilize it in the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal to bring you back and forth to the Masjid, to utilize it to go to work, to earn halal and wholesome good livelihood, to take care of your family, to help people who needed help, to offer assistance by utilization of your vehicles to those who needed a vehicle for assistance, whether that be to help them move or to help to bring them to a place, to pick them up from the airport, whatever the case may be. Did you utilize it for good, or did you utilize it to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal? Did you utilize it to take it to go to the club? Or did you utilize it to take it to go to the gambling spot? Or did you utilize it to take it to go to the bar? What do you use your car for? Nah, what do you use it for? What do you use your vehicle for? وَنِعْمَةُ الْوَلَدِ and the blessing of children. The blessing of children. You'll be asked about that. What did you do with the blessing of the children? Did you fulfill their rights? Did you raise them in a good manner? Were you kind to them? Did you take care of them? Did you teach and educate them about their religion, worshiping Allah, remembering Allah? Did you teach them the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal, the different adhkar and supplications? Did you teach them and make it a concern for you that they're memorizing the Qur'an, memorizing the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ? Now, did you teach them and did you benefit them? Did you educate them and bring them up and rear them in a good manner? وَنِعْمَةُ الْمَرْكَبِ and you'll be asked about the blessings of the riding, of the vehicles, right? The things that we ride upon, wherever the vehicle may be. Whether it be a metal vehicle or whether it be an animal like a horse, and the like. We'll be asked about these things. What you do with them. وَنِعْمَةَ الْمَسْكَنِ and we'll be asked about the houses where we live at, whether it's a house, a condo, a townhouse, an apartment, whatever, a tent. We'll be asked about our dwelling places. Those things we find pleasure in. We'll be asked about that. The Shaykh, he says, so that we understand what it says, that we'll be asked about the things that we find delight in. The Shaykh, he mentions, he says, حَتَّى الْمَاء الْبَارِدِ even until cold water. Cold water. That when it's a hot day, you find refreshment in cold water. Now, like you see the cold water bottles that, alhamdulillah, the brother brought out from the refrigerator. Now the plastic has on it condensation, and you see the cold water. We'll be asked about it. We'll be asked about it. Now, we'll be asked about all of these things on the Day of Judgment. What did you do with them? يُسْأَلُ عَنْهُ الْعَبْدُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ that on the Day of Judgment, the slave, he will be asked about them. He'll be questioned about them. هَذَا فِيهِ تَنْبِيهٌ in this there is it draws our attention, it's a cautioning for us. It draws our attention عَلَى مَا صُدِّرَتْ بِهِ السُّورَةِ it draws our attention to that which the surah is started with. Right? That which is started with. Because these things that we find pleasure in, these are the things that people amass. As Allah Ta'ala said, أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ have you become preoccupied and distracted by the amassing of that which people vie over from the likes of what was mentioned? From the likes of what was mentioned. أَيْ أَشْغَلَكُمْ that you have become, it has busied you, it has preoccupied you. We have to understand the reality of the likes of these things, and that we have to utilize them to obey Allah, and we can't let them become distractions to us that it diverts us from the purpose in which we have been created, which is to establish the worship to the Creator and to the Creator alone. It's very important that we understand the likes of these things. It comes a hadith عن أبي هريرة فيما أخرجه الترمذي والحاكم, and that which has been collected by Imam al-Tirmidhi wa Imam al-Hakim. قال Abu Hurairah, he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, that the Prophet, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, إن أول ما يسأل عنه يوم القيامة يعني العبد من النعيم أن يقال له ألم نصحح ألم نصح لك جسمك. That the first thing that the slave he'll be asked about on the day of judgment, meaning from those things of delight, is that it will be said to the slave, did we not give you good health in your body? Did we not give you good health in your body? وَنُرْوِيكَ مِنَ الْمَاءِ الْبَارِدِ, and did we not give you cold water? Did we not give you good health in cold water? We're going to be asked about these things on the day of judgment. What did you do with your good health? What did you do with it? And health is one of those things that only the sick truly appreciate it. Good health is truly only appreciated by those who are sick and don't have it. Now, whereas those who have good health, this is a blessing that they usually squander, and that they are unmindful of and are ungrateful of, and they don't even think about it or contemplate over their good health. You never realize the value of your finger until it gets hurt, gets broken. One of your fingers get broken, then you realize the value of your finger, when now you're having problems picking up things. You can't even hold your fork or your spoon correctly because one of your fingers is out of place, is broken, is out of commission. You don't realize the functionality and how much of a blessing it is to be of good health, for your limbs to be in order. You don't realize the blessing of having limbs that are not broken until one of your limbs get broken. One of your limbs get broken, your legs get broken, and now you're on a crutch, and you realize what the ease of having a healthy leg, and how easy it is for you to get out of bed, easy it is for you to move around, easy it is for you to do this, to do that, and so on and so forth. You don't realize that until you have become what? Until you have become disabled. Then you realize the bounty of having a sound body. Now, so health usually is only appreciated by those who are sick, whereas those who are healthy, they squander this bounty. But we don't want anyone to understand from the likes of what is mentioned that we should stay away from these things now. Meaning, because the amassing of wealth, it distracts people, so then we should stay away from striving to amass wealth. No. I don't want anyone to walk away and that's their understanding. There's nothing wrong with the amassing of wealth. The amassing of wealth is not the issue. The issue is whether or not the person has taqwa, whether or not the person has fear and piety, right? Because when a person has fear of Allah and has piety, when he becomes wealthy, it's not a distraction for him. Why? Because the wealth for him is so he can utilize it in good. You understand? So there's nothing wrong with, for example, going after that promotion which will get you a higher wage. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with seeking after that which would benefit you. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ihras ala ma yanfa'uk." Be diligent in pursuing those things that benefit you. Pursue those things that benefit you. Now, if you can become a millionaire, okay, why not? Be a millionaire. As long as you have taqwa, as long as you have fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because see, the one who has taqwa, now he's a millionaire because in his mind, okay, now I can just pay for the masjid. Now I can build a school. I can build an orphanage. I can build a health clinic. I can do things with my money now that I couldn't do when I was poor. Now I can do more good for the community. I can do more good for the people. I can do more good. I can spend in Allah's path. People want to make Hajj, never made Hajj before. They can't afford it. I can pay for, a number of people to go to Hajj every year. Every year I'm going to send 20 people to Hajj every year. Now, you can do that when you're a millionaire. You can't do that when you ain't got no money, right? So the person that has taqwa, then it's no problem for him to be rich. There's no problem. The person who has taqwa, it's no problem for him to seek after a healthy body, to make sure he takes care of his health. It's not to say, okay, don't worry about health, so this let your body go and fall by the wayside. No, be healthy, eat good. Eat good, take care of yourself, exercise. Whatever the exercise is easy for you. Walk, jog, do push-ups, sit-ups, squat thrusts, whatever. Right? Take care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, La bats bil ghina liman ittaqullah. There is no problem for wealth for the one who fears Allah. For the one who fears Allah, there's no problem. He can have wealth, it's okay. So I don't want no one to walk away from this thinking, okay, Islam says don't be rich. No, be rich. Because being rich, that's not the issue. The issue is taqwa, whether you have fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet ﷺ said there's no problem with being rich as long for the one, there's no problem being rich for the one who fears Allah. Well, sihha, and I want you to understand this too. I want you to understand this. Really. I want you to understand this, remember this. وَالصِّحَّةَ لِمَنِ اتَّقَى اللَّهَ خَيْرٌ مِنَ الْغِنَى. And that health for the one who fears Allah is better than wealth. Health, good health, for the one who fears Allah is better than wealth. Man, better than wealth. If you ask the person, would you rather be a billionaire but stricken to a wheelchair, or would you rather just be on the average blue collar scale but you got good health? That is a question that most people will answer very quickly. I'd rather have good health. I'd rather have good health and just, make $30,000 a year. It's fine. What's the use of being a billionaire and you're stricken in a wheelchair? What's the use of that? So the reality is that good health for the one who fears Allah is better than wealth. It's better than wealth. Na'am. وَطِيبَةُ النَّفْسِ بِالنَّعِيمِ. And a person being in good spirit, a person being pleased and content within themselves, then this is from the na'im. This is from the pleasures. This is from the bounties. This is from those delights. Those delights. Is that a person, he's content. A person, they are of good spirit. Because you see, the person that is content and of good spirit, then regardless of the situation, they're okay. They can be sick, it's all right. Because what? Because they're in good spirit. So they take everything, as they say, in stride. Yeah? Because, alhamdulillah, ala kulli hal. Na'am, all praise and thanks belong to Allah in every situation. Because a person is sick and he has ailments in his stomach, but he says, alhamdulillah, because there's those who have worse. Right? There's those who have cancer. You see? A person, he may have cancer, right, of the prostate or of the breasts or uterine cancer. So they say, alhamdulillah, is this type of cancer, that there's a very high recovery rate. It's not another type of cancer that is, the mortality rate is more. So they say, alhamdulillah, it could be worse. You understand? A person, he can have lost one limb, but he says, alhamdulillah, there are people who there are multiple amputees. Okay? A person could have lost multiple limbs, but he says, alhamdulillah, I'm still alive. I have opportunity now to pray to Allah Azza wa Jal, to make dhikr, to read Qur'an. I have opportunity now. One person, he may lose one eye. He said, alhamdulillah, some people are blind, they can't see. Person lose both eyes. Alhamdulillah, I can still hear. Alhamdulillah, I can talk. I can still seek good for myself. Alhamdulillah, no problem. So, alhamdulillah, kulli hal. And this is for the person that's what, he's content within itself. A person who he has good spirit, or lack of a better term, right? Likewise, a person is poor but he's of good spirit, alhamdulillah, no problem, he's content. He makes do, it's fine. Alhamdulillah, we got bread and cheese. We got bread, cheese, and tea. Alhamdulillah. Some people they don't have that. Alhamdulillah, we can still eat. Alhamdulillah, we got water. Alhamdulillah. Some people don't have access to clean water. So regardless, and then people that don't have access to clean water, so alhamdulillah, we got some kind of water, because then people don't got no water, and they're going to be dead in a few days. So alhamdulillah, we got some kind of water. You understand? So alhamdulillah ala kulli hal, but this is what? Tayyibatun nafs min al-na'im, having a good spirit, good contentment, good spirit is what? It's from the bounties, it's from the blessings. Hadithun sahih, rawahu ibn Majah. Hadithun sahih, been collected by Imam ibn Majah. Ala kulli hal, that which is cautioned from is what? Is allowing these things to preoccupy us, to distract us. Allowing these things to distract us. Alhaakum at-takathur, ay ashghalakum, it distracts you. Wa antum satus'aluna yawm al-qiyamah anhu. We allow it to distract us, given the fact that on the day of judgment we're going to be asked about it. On the day of judgment we're going to be asked about it. The Shaykh, he says, فَإِيَّاكُمْ أَنْ يَشْغِلَكُمْ هَذَا النَّعِيمِ. He said, so beware of allowing these delightful things to distract you. وَهَذَا مَآلُ نعم وَهَذَا المال عن شكر المنعم. And don't allow this money, this wealth, to distract you from giving thanks. From giving thanks to who? Al-Mun'im, to the one who gave you these things. Don't allow the wealth to distract you from thanking the one who gave you the wealth. Meaning Allah Azza wa Jal. Everything, Allah has given us everything. Na'am. وَقِيَامِ بِحَقِّهِ, and don't allow these things to distract you from establishing His rights. وَالْإِقْبَالَ عَلَيْهِ, and from turning unto Him. وَحُسْنِ عِبَادَتِهِ وَالْإِسْتِعْدَادِ لِلِقَائِهِ جَلَّ فِي عُلَى, and don't allow these things to distract us from worshiping Allah in the most excellent of manners, and from preparing for meeting Him. He, Allah Azza wa Jal. وَإِيَّاكُمْ أَن يَشْغِلَكُمْ هَذَا الَّذِي خُلِقَ لِأَجْلِكُمْ عَمَّا خُلِقْتُمْ أَنْتُمْ لِأَجْلِهِ, and do not allow yourselves to become distracted by those things that were created for you to utilize, and such they distract you from the purpose of which you have been created. And then the Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he gets into the tafsir of the next surah, Surah Al-Asr, which is a tremendous surah. We apologize, we had intended to go over it as well today, but looking at the time, we fear that by doing so, it will make the class too long. So we will suffice with that which has been mentioned. فنكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وجزاكم الله خيرا.